You know those conversations you have with your girls and you're reminiscing about your 20s and you think to yourself or to your friends, what would I say to my younger self? Or dag, if I had the wisdom I have now, girl, the choices I would make differently, right? Well, today's conversation is all about breaking patterns. We're gonna have that conversation about what we would say to our younger self, specifically 20 something, but it could be 30 something as well. It could be 40 something, however old you are. And while you're watching this, your younger self, what would you tell her? What would you say to her now with the information that you have? Is there some forgiveness you need to activate and practice? Is there some shame that you need to let go of? Is there some celebrations about the decisions that you made and you're just so proud of yourself? All those things, all those layers, we're going to talk about today. So let's go. It's Natasha.
Unapologetic Living.
What is up? Welcome to Unapologetic Living with Natasha. Today's episode is called Breaking Patterns, and it's all about what we would say to our younger selves, specifically when we're in our 20s. Because our 20s, it'd be thug life in the 20s.
Yes.
It's thug life in the 20s.
Yes, it is.
Thug life real. And so I'm excited to have this conversation with my girl, Shalonda. What up, girl?
Hey, girl.
And we have these conversations all the time. So when I thought about this topic, I was like, of course I have to have my girl Shalonda on here because these are the type of conversations we have regularly.
Yes.
So I'm so super excited to have you here
Yes,
joining
thank
me
you.
finally, because we've been trying to do this for a long
Listen, I was going to say, I'm excited.
Three-peat. Let's go three, because it's season
Yes.
three, is the time to be.
Yes,
All right?
yes.
So I'm excited. I'm
Right.
excited. So we were talking a little bit before we started airing, and one of the things we're talking about, like the expectations that come with our 20s.
Yes.
So for you,
Yes.
what do you
Yes.
think was expectation that was going on for you that, I don't know, may have made things more difficult, easier? Like, what do you think those were for you?
I think for me, a lot of my family, they're married and children by that time.
Yeah.
That was my mother, that was my grandmother, sister. So for me, I was like, I'm gonna just get me a job and get married and settle down. And I think I did a lot of forcing in my 20s, trying to like live up to those expectations and be like everyone else. And I look back and I'm like, I didn't even want that in my 20s. That's not even really what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But like just forcing stuff and, having children and doing those things, feeling like that was what I was supposed to do, right? Like that's what everyone else did. They were mothers, and I feel like for me, it definitely, y'all know having kids ain't no joke.
No.
But on top of having kids, I didn't have my own identity. I feel like until I got older, and I'm like, no, this ain't even, what I want to do. And I started kind of really understanding who I was as a person. But I feel like those years, that was like my agenda. Like I needed to be married. I needed to settle down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, I definitely understand what you're saying, because it was like, you should be married by, I don't think this generation, I don't think Gen Zs are about that life.
Which I love.
But yes, I love that for them.
Yes.
But millennials and older, it was definitely like you getting married by the time you're like 25.
Yes.
Or, as soon as you graduate from college, you pretty much getting a job and you getting married. That was pretty much the trajectory of your life. And I know for me, I would say as I was getting closer, I know when I was like 21 or 22, I was thinking, 23, 24, that's like 4 years, that's 2 years, 3 years, 28, that's like 5 years from now. I am not having nobody's kids. Like, you realize that is not old. Like, when you're like a teenager, you feel like 28 is so old. Then you get 23, like, that is not old, that's tomorrow.
Right.
And then you realize, okay, that is definitely something I do not want to do. Yeah, for sure. I think too, for me, when I was in my 20s, it was like, like I was in a relationship for like a long period of my 20s, like from like early, when I was in college, like freshman year in college all the way until the end, so like for 7 years, right? And I think when I look back, it wasn't necessarily an expectation, but one of the things that I put on myself was like managing other people's emotions. So the relationship I was in, I was making it my responsibility to make sure he felt secure, making sure it was my responsibility that he was happy or he wasn't upset, right? So like even when I wanted to leave the relationship, I didn't want to upset him or, you know, cause any hurt. So I just stayed in it to protect him. And I looking back like, the girl, that's not your responsibility to manage somebody else's emotions, because you stayed in that relationship longer than you needed to be. And you were not fully happy because you worried about, is he going to be okay if we go through this breakup?
Girl, right. No, that is so true. I feel like, you know, as women, we kind of do that already. But I definitely feel like that was me too. I was so worried about everybody else and making sure everybody else was happy. I never really worried about me. And that was another thing. Like, even with the expectations, it's like, well, this is how my family do it. I can't tell them this isn't what that wasn't even a thought. That's the crazy part. I didn't even think like that because I was so like hell-bent on making sure I was doing things the family way, you know? And even if it didn't work out, I was like, well, at least they know I was trying. Like, you know what I mean? That was like my mentality, but it wasn't even, like you said, it wasn't even something I wanted. I'm worried about everybody else and their feelings and their emotions on what I'm doing with my life. But
I would say, I'm thinking about like my breakthrough was when I was 25 or 26. And it wasn't like a full breakthrough. It was like a 20-something version breakthrough. So take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
But it was a breakthrough I needed in that moment. You know, the 20-something breakthrough is a little different than your 30 breakthrough. We all have them in those decades. You have a breakthrough, you realize, girl. You know? And my breakthrough was when I left that relationship. And I was like, okay, I need a break from relationships. Because again, I was like doing so much of managing. I was emotionally drained. I was like, I don't want to be in a relationship with nobody. I'm taking off. Right? And I spent that year just like having fun. That's when my thug life came in. That was my thug life, y'all. I was living my best life. Listen, I was living. Ain't got time to, I'm living my best life. Listen, I was my bestest life.
For real.
And I was like, I'm not dating anybody. I'm just going to have fun. I'm just going to hang out with my girls. You know, at that point, I was out of college. I was working. You know, at that point, you just, you know, in your 20s, well, at that time, I wasn't living. I was still living at home. So your bills was low. You got them low bills. Other than your loans, that's about it.
Listen,
loans and your car. That's about it.
Phone bill,
yep. That's about it.
That's it.
That's it. And so you got this nice, like, and your check, you got a nice work check coming in. Listen, the bills was low, and you could have some fun and play. Listen, I was traveling, and so I think that was my breakthrough in the sense of like me finally just allowing myself just to be free. And not like in a relationship and not being like worrying about somebody else and just allowing myself to just like, and then holding to that, right? Like, I could have been in a relationship. I could have, because I met my fiance at that time. And I was very clear to him, like, no, I need a year off. I'm not dating nobody, right? And I really stuck to that to make sure that I really was like, allow myself to just enjoy life and focus on me and not get bogged down by like all the things that could be happening.
Girl, that's I think mine came kind of late. You were around for this time. So I had just had Chloe, I just had my daughter, and I was working this job. I really didn't like it. And also with the job we were at, there was a lot of expectations even in the job about who you needed to be, the type of person you needed to be. And y'all, I just had a breakdown. I'm like, it's just too much. I wasn't happy. And I'm like, why am I not happy? And I realized at that time, like, I'm living my life for everyone else. I'm living my life with expectations that aren't even for me. And that was when I got my thug life, y'all. 29. Me and Tosh went to Vegas for my birthday. Like, yes, that was when I started traveling and really figuring out, like, what I want. Dating for fun, not dating because I feel like I need to be married and have this agenda. Just just having fun with life, like doing things I wanted to do. I quit my job. I like figured out things that Shalonda wanted, Shalonda needed. And, you know, I had another breakthrough since then. Like, you know, there's steps. But that was definitely my wake up to like, no, this is your life. You do what you want to do with your life. You've got all these permanent life things now. Because you're trying to live with someone else's standards. So now I have a kid. Now I got to support them, and I love my kids. But I'm just saying, I was making very permanent choices. Choices I didn't even really want, because I'm living with the expectation of everybody else around me. I'm staying at a job I didn't want or wasn't happy in for years. But I'm like, well, I have to, right? Because the people at the job expect me to do X, Y, and Z, or my parents and my family are like, girl, that's a good job. You know, like you might as well. So you feel pressure to stay. And I literally exploded. Like, okay, I need to like reset, figure out life. And I think that was like the beginning of like my wake up.
I think one thing about our 20s, when I'm thinking about like our younger selves, you know, when you think about your 20s, you're transitioning out of teenage years. And when you're a teen, you have a lot of like influence. Like you have your parents who can tell you what you can and cannot do. You have the school that's telling you what you can and cannot do. Right? You have a lot of people who are saying what you can and cannot do. So as you're talking, and I'm also reflecting on my experience, where it's like these expectations when we're in 20s, it totally makes sense of why our expectations are so influenced by others, because our life before that was almost always
that's so true.
Influenced by others or by our peers, whatever it was, right? We didn't really have our own voice. We didn't even know we could even have a voice.
Right.
And we don't even know what our voice even sound like.
Right.
Is that it? Hello? Is that? I don't know if that's it. Does that sound like me? I don't know what that is. That me? Right, you try different voices. This is me. Hello? Maybe this is my voice. Right, you just start trying different voices when you're a teen, right? You just try all types of voices. You dressing differently because it sound good, look good. Like you just trying different voices. You don't even know which one is yours, right? And then in your 20s, you're forced to figure out like what is your voice. But you don't catch on to that until like your mid to late 20s, which honestly, that's when our brain is fully developed. So that totally makes sense of why we had those aha moments at 25 plus, because that's when our brain is finally fully developed. But like before that, it's like a lot of it is influenced by like, what am I supposed to be doing? Should I be doing this? Well, this is the trajectory that people say you're supposed to go down. So this is what I know will be successful, right? And it's not until you get to that point like, oh wait, this ain't really what I want. Or wait, this ain't. And then that's when you start to really tap into your true self, for sure.
That is so true. Yeah. I think that was a lot of what it was. And my parents being pastors and that whole community, I think that was a lot of it too, because they were, you know, such a big part of like not only my life but like the community. So a lot of people I'm around are like, well, what your parents say? Well, what your parents think? And I was so used to kind of like just doing whatever my mom did, or doing whatever my dad did, or doing whatever that community, you know, led me to do. So that is true though. I think that's a major part of it, like finding your voice. And
because like the children, the family, the type of careers you should have, like all those things, a lot of times we don't know what we're doing, right? So a lot of times it is like we see what other people are doing, we're using it as a model, but a lot of times we don't end up using it as a model, we use it as a template. And we're like using it as a template, and we're trying to do exactly what this template says, instead of us just using it as just a model of like, oh, okay, I can see how this could work. Let me see how it would fit for me. That
is so true. Because if I could go back, I would be in Vegas somewhere to acting or doing something else. But even mentioning that back then, especially, you're only taught like 5-6 careers growing up. You are not taught like certain things. And you don't know. And then when you say it, it's like, ain't nobody paying for you to go to school to act. What's wrong with you? You better find something else. So it's like, okay, well, my mom was a teacher, so you know, you stay safe. And like you said, you don't use it as a template. Like, well, I can take this. I can, you know, it's your whole life. You use every single thing, instead of kind of like tweaking things. You taking things from here, taking things from there, and making it your own. It's kind of like, no, I'm gonna just do exactly, what this manual did, what my auntie did, what my mama did, what my friends did. And I think that was a big part of my shaping for a while.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to park, because I think a great way to come back is talk about adulting and like that experience when you go from the teen to an adult, and that experience. And then also like how when we officially are full grown adults, like in our 30s, 40s, how looking back at that experience can either be something that we're looking at it with grace, or we're looking at it with shame, and how to not do one or the other, right? So make sure you come back, because listen, as you can see, the conversation is going to be filled with a lot of goodies. So come back for the second. So come back. I'm gonna say for the second episode. This is the episode.
This is the episode.
So make sure you just come back. Just come on back, okay? To Unapologetic Living with Natasha. Are you ready to stop playing small and finally protect your peace and execute consistently? Welcome to Unapologetic Living University, an online coaching hub helping women gain the tools to set boundaries without guilt and execute goals with unshakable confidence. No more people pleasing, no more perfection paralysis, no more waiting for permission. Scan the QR code now and enroll. Welcome back to Unapologetic Living with Natasha. I'm here with my girl Shalonda.
Hey, y'all.
And we are continuing this amazing conversation about just our younger self, specifically when we're in our 20s. How to be kind to her, how to celebrate her, even just like looking back of like the do's and the don'ts of being in our 20s.
Yes.
One of the things we talk about is adulting. Nobody talks about adulting,
girl.
They just throw us in a wild. Like, why they do that to us? They just throw us in a wild.
I have no
They be like, go to college, good luck. That's it. Bye. Pack your bags. See you in December. Let us know how it went.
Yes. I'm like, why didn't they give us a credit class, a budgeting class? Y'all got me out here.
Listen, I mean, thankfully there's some schools are doing it now.
Yes.
But they definitely wasn't doing that when we were in school.
Not at
There was
all.
no financial 101.
Yeah, girl, that was about it.
There was no finances 101. It was chemistry. That's the closest finances you're going to get to. Chemistry. It had nothing to do with money, but that's the closest you're going to get to numbers.
Girl, no, this
algebra.
is true.
That was about as close you got.
Yes, that was it.
Yeah, they just threw us in the wild.
Yeah, girl, nothing. And I was telling Tosh, I used to be so excited to like get out. I'm like, I could do whatever I want when I get older. I'm gonna go hang out. But you gotta have money to hang out. You gotta budget. You gotta, work your 40 hours a week.
You gotta
in order to even get to the weekend.
You gotta attend the job.
Yes. So that was my main wake up call, because mom and dad spoiled me, and I had no idea like what the background was. I didn't know about the budgeting or the money, and then there were certain things I just thought would be easy. I was a shopaholic when I was younger, but I could do that.
Yeah.
And then budgeting, it's like, I gotta pay rent before. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This isn't that fun. I thought this was gonna be fun. So I think that was my main wake up call.
Yeah.
Okay. The bills, the responsibility, and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Even things like, making a doctor's appointment.
Girl.
That's on you.
Girl.
You gotta call, you gotta catch up on, you gotta make sure you keep tabs on when the last time you saw your doctor so you can make an appointment.
Did you even check your insurance? Do you have insurance? Okay.
Listen.
What's that?
Listen. If you want to get your medication, did you make sure that your parents will still have you under their insurance? Because they dropped you on your own.
Girl, that's what happened to me. I was like, wait, I don't have my dad's insurance? So what do I do? I gotta pay for insurance too? Wow. Okay.
Listen, the struggles, right? They just throw us in the wild. They just throw us in the wild. I don't know if you was thrown in the wild, But listen, they just throw us in the
Yeah.
wild. I think for me,
Yeah.
it was when, so I lived on campus on college.
Oh yeah.
And that's when I had my wake up call of adulting because I had to live with people and didn't know how to clean. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Now, granted, I had definitely had chores in my house.
Yeah.
And so I got my allowance, you know. So
Okay.
I knew how to finance my money back then
Right.
because I had an allowance and stuff.
Right,
But my
right.
mom kept my chores very simple. It was literally just
Yeah.
washing dishes, vacuum the living room floor, and make sure your bedroom is clean. Like it was some
Right,
simple
right,
chores.
very
I've never
simple.
had to like scrub the toilets or nothing like that.
Yeah.
But I had common sense and knew what that looked like.
Right.
So when it
Right.
was time for me to do
Right.
it, I didn't want to do it. But adulting, you want a clean bathroom, you have to do it.
You gotta do it.
But now I'm living with people that don't know how to do it. So the adulting was like learning how to deal with people. And I was like, wait,
Yes.
this is, not everybody knows how to clean a bathroom.
That is true.
And then you have to like, it's your responsibility to get up for class.
Yes.
If you want to party all night, you got to be responsible of like,
Yeah.
because I don't have a mom now that's going to be like waking me up with my alarm, my
That was
TV.
me too, yes,
I got
that was
to do this
me.
on my own now.
Yes.
Yeah. So adulting is, it's not all that.
It is not all that.
Yeah.
It is not all that.
Yeah.
It was glamorized when I was
Very
younger.
glamorized.
But I was like, oh, this is a lot.
Yeah.
And that part too, that was me. It's like, girl, no, you got to get up. You can't party and then not go to work. You got to get up and go to work. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, the adulting piece, that adjustment was super
Girl.
real. And then like paying bills. I was like, oh wait, I gotta like actually like get a
got a
budget
budget?
and I gotta like
Oh.
manage my funds. I actually gotta look at my bank account and make sure there's money in the account. So I won't be on it. So I don't get no eviction notice because listen, ain't nobody allowing you to pay late. There's no late.
There's no late
There's no
fee.
There's no
Not
late.
at all.
There's no late. I think even like as we like continue to adult, like going into our 30s and I'm in my 40s. I still
Yeah.
sometimes I can't even believe I'm like in my 40s, but I'm here. 'cause
Girl.
listen, she's here.
Listen, I'm knocking on the door. I'm right behind you.
And I think when we look back sometimes when we look back at our younger selves, we can be really hard
Yeah.
on our younger selves. Because we're
Yeah.
like, how could I have done this? Or why would I even
Right.
make a decision like that?
Yes.
And then before we know it, we're looking at our past as like not celebrating or looking at it with a level of love or fulfillment or excitement. We're
Yeah.
looking at like sometimes with dread
Yes.
when we're looking back of like, ugh.
Girl.
Yeah.
No, I think that was definitely me. I think I'm finally getting to a place of like forgiveness. Because resetting my life was great, but I almost felt ashamed of my past. So it's like, I gotta talk about that. You just move on.
Yeah.
But I'm here now. And I'm like, no, it's okay. We're learning. And just like you said, our brain wasn't even fully developed. We've gone through things before we even got there that shape a lot of our choices. And sometimes it's not fully on us and we don't give ourselves enough grace.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, a lot of it, especially like even in my 20s, things would occur, like even being a mom. And I was so hard on myself. Like, girl, why would you, now you're a mom and, and I felt a lot of shame attached to it. And I finally was able to kind of, process, give myself grace and love and, and I love my children, but, looking back, it was like, that wasn't the best choice, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It worked out. You guys are fine, but I feel like it was like a lot of shame attached to that and just like different things. Even my career and going to college late because I was a mom, I felt like it was a lot of shame. And so when I did reset, I was very proud of the women, I was in that time where I am now. But I didn't want to talk about the past.
Yeah.
Let's not, we don't got to bring that up. Like, it's different now. And it's like, no, that's a part of who you are. And it's okay. And there's a lot of beautiful things that came out of it. You know, even if you didn't, choose the career you wanted, you went to school, you did your thing and, you created a life for yourself. And it's okay to make mistakes. Like, we're all going to make mistakes. Some might be very big. Some might be very permanent, but that's still okay. And, you can move past it. And I think I'm just now forgiving myself, and it's changed a lot of my actions and a lot of my choices with myself. And I think a lot of things that happened in my 20s was unforgiveness of myself, and it spiral. So now I'm just making choices because of that unforgiveness, because of how I feel about myself. And when you can let it go, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And, you know, you could fully restart.
Yeah. Now, I love what you're saying about like being at a place now where you can just like fully tell your story or just talk about your experience without the shame. Because that's so real. Because you definitely, you know, you could be in spaces where it's like, well, we're going to show this part. We're not going to show that part. We're going to put that back in the closet, right? But then it's like, what are you saying to yourself? I know for me, I would always think like, what am I saying to myself about me when I do that then, right? Because if I'm saying this is not good enough, right? This is not good enough to be spoken about, right? This is not good enough to share, right? Or to accept.
So
maybe not even, because it might not necessarily be sharing with anybody, but it's just for me to accept it, right? Then what am I saying about myself, to myself, about that version of myself at that time? And so one of the episodes on here, it's the final episode, so make sure you stay connected with Unapologetic Living with Natasha, because it's the final episode of season 3. My mom was here with the conversation.
Oh,
yeah, no, it was so cute. And so one of the things she was saying was like, just when I was asking her about like things and lessons that she has learned and also wanted to teach me and my sister, was one thing she said was, I don't have any regrets. And when she said that, I was like, you know what? You did teach us how not to have regrets. That is so true, right?
Wow.
And I think that's why I've been so when you think about celebrating our younger selves, I think that's one thing I could definitely celebrate about myself is like not having regrets. Like I never looked at a situation, I won't say never, there might be some times, but most of the time I would not look at a situation and just like regret that I did that and then like constantly replay it and ruminate over it. Like I was able to like recognize it in the moment and then like, all right, what we gonna do differently this time, right? But like having no regrets helps you to also not have to look at something as we gotta keep this as a secret and not talk about it type of thing. Yeah,
no, that's so true. And I think it's also helpful just as a community, right? Like these spaces where we're storytelling and sharing our stories, because there's people that need that. You know, there's people that need to hear certain things. You know, I talked to a girl that's a little bit younger than me that just started teaching and just sharing my story. She's like, oh, well, you know, I'm a young mom too, cycling through. So it's times where you are able to connect with people and help other people with your story. And sometimes we feel shame or like displacement, like, oh, I don't want to say that. I'm in this space and you don't feel like you said, you haven't fully accepted it and you don't feel proud of it, so you keep it under wraps. But there's so many people that are like you or share that same story, and it's so important to kind of build community and know, you know, we're gonna make mistakes, we're gonna do things, but like we have each other to kind of navigate through. So that's very important too, as far as like, I mean, I'm not saying you gotta share everything,
right, all your business,
but there's times where, you know, other people need that. There's young girls that need to hear that. They need to hear it's going to be okay if you're a young mom and it didn't work out the way you wanted it to. They need to hear it's okay if you move into a college dorm with somebody that you're not necessarily happy with. So there's times where storytelling is very important too, not only for yourself but for, you know, community.
You know, it's so crazy. Today at church, Bishop has started a new series called Like and Share. And so it was all about, you know, the foundation was taught today. So the concept of the Like and Share is, you know, allowing God to use you to be able to expand the kingdom through you, right? And doing that is by sharing your story, because God will give you an assignment to open up or to share your story with someone, because that person needs to hear it in that moment. And it's like, are you going to be willing to take on that assignment to be able to share? And you're not going to be able to share if there's shame or guilt, which is what the enemy would want, because if God is going to use that testimony as an assignment to free somebody else, then the enemy definitely doesn't want you to share because he doesn't want you to be free and he doesn't want that person to be free. So he wants you to like be shameful about it. He wants you to be fearful about it. He wants you to be embarrassed about it, so that you can stay silent and get stuck in that, so you don't have the freedom that is really, you know, part of your journey and your purpose.
That's so true. Because a lot of times our stories, it's for us, but it's for other people too. You know? So that's so true. That's so true.
And I think even like thinking back, you know, when we're looking back at our younger self, it's so important to get to a place where there is a level of forgiveness, there's a level of understanding and empathy,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can be able to talk to somebody else, like you were saying, that's like in
Right.
her
And be
20s as well.
proud.
Or and also be like, girl, I've been through that too.
Right.
It was a hot mess. Let me
Yes.
tell you how I worked through that.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And be like, there's no shame attached. There's no, be proud of who you are. And the more you accept, the more you share, the more you can be like, yeah, I made it through that. It's okay. Because other people can look at you. If you're telling your story like,
Right.
that's not, they're like, oh, well, dang,
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so true.
And I think that's how you end up breaking patterns, right? Like this
So
episode is all
true.
about breaking patterns, and part of
Yes.
that, part of this stuff, there's so many ways to break chains,
Yes.
but one way to break chains is to look back at your younger self and be like, girl, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, girl, you did your best.
Right. Yeah.
In the moment, you thought that was the best choice.
Right.
And
It's
no, it didn't end up being the right choice, right?
Right.
Or in the moment, you knew that was the wrong choice, but you did it anyway.
Anyway.
And still, right,
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
dignity, and still you have respect, and still you
Yeah.
have worth and value. And 10, 20 years later, look, we good. We still
Yes,
good.
yes,
You know,
that's so
like
true.
20 years later, 30 years
Yes.
later, 10 years later, 15 years
Yes,
later,
yeah.
5 years later,
Yeah.
2 years later, we are
Yeah.
still good.
Good.
Like, even in spite of because in the moment, it
Yes.
feels like the world's about to end.
Girl.
And I think that would be, if I told my younger self, that would be one thing I would tell my younger self. Like, if you mess up, it's all right. You're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
it might
gonna work
be
out.
heavy in the moment.
Yes.
And the moment might last longer than you like.
Yeah.
But girl, you'll be fine. You'll be
Yes,
fine.
That is so true. It always works out.
Yeah.
It always
Yeah.
works out. It does. That is so true. What would I tell my younger self? I think I would tell my younger self to live for me, to do what feels right for me. There's always a lot of voices, but you just gotta stay rooted and grounded in your truth and who you are, and just follow that. And it always works out.
Yeah.
So if you make a mistake, like you said, or something doesn't work in the moment, it will always work out. It's no big deal. And I think that was a lot of my younger self. Like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Like, what do I do? Like, I'm holding a baby. Like, what is this? What do I do? But, it always works out. God will give you strength and, carry you through it. So.
Yeah. I always like to ask my guests at the end of the show, like, about being unapologetic related to a topic. And so for you, what would you say is one thing that you enjoy about unapologetically breaking patterns?
I think for me, it's like you said, just being proud of who you are, sharing your story, to build that community. And just being unapologetic about your mistakes, being unapologetic about who you are, being unapologetic about, your life and your experiences, and, just being proud.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
For being a guest on my show.
Yes, I love this.
Yes. This is a great conversation. I hope this has helped you to think about how are you talking to your younger self?
Yeah.
And to think about forgiving your younger self for anything that you are still holding on to. Free yourself from that. Forgive her. Let go of the shame, the embarrassment. Accept it, because you can't change it. It is what it is. And allow yourself to be able to move through it so you can be able to celebrate all of you, all parts of you, all decisions you've made, all the things you've been through. You're able to celebrate it. So until I see you again, make sure you be safe, be bold, and speak life.
Unapologetic.
Unapologetic living.
Yes, that was great. I think I'm gonna push the seat back, Lord child. Good one, another good one.
Yes.
Unapologetic living.
So talking your mic.
Hello?
I mean, you don't have to actually
1,
like
2.
look to the top.
Oh, yeah. Right. I'm like paging.
Paging. Paging. Senator. Aisle 2. So don't do that on camera when we go on camera.
You're like, please don't
You're
talk
like,
to the mic.
yes, so when I'm in my 20s.
What I'm thinking about when I
like, what?